Open conversation.
So, as I said, we're talking about Father's Day, since Father's Day is tomorrow. Again, I'd like to introduce you to our guests. We have, to my left, my sister Hope.
Hello.
We have Maurice, which is one of our new co-hosts.
Hello.
Quiet and feisty Maurice.
Hello.
And my niece on this end with the little one, Kiera.
Hi.
What's their name?
Zanila.
Okay, so we're talking about fathers. Did you have a good father in your life? Good stepdad? Or did you just have someone that was a dumb one? Let's talk about it. Let's start this conversation. Who wants to jump in first?
I'll jump in first. I feel as though I had the world's best father growing up. I mean, he was my best friend. He was my very first teacher, my very first disciplinarian. I mean, I used to think at times he was cruel and unusual with some of the punishment he used to deal out to me and some of the things he used to do to me in the form of a punishment. Like, I messed up one time instead of beating me. He called down to his job, which he was foreman on a construction crew. He called down to his job and had one of the guys bring the dump truck full of fresh excavated soil from the site that they were working on, dumped it next door to the house which he had a garden in. And I had to dig through, I had 8 hours to get it done. Had to sift through all of that soil, get out all the chunks of concrete, bricks, pipes, whatever. Put that in the pile by itself, and then I had to take all the dirt, shovel it into a wheelbarrow, take it way down to the end of the garden, and dump it in the stockpile. Wow. Now I'm thinking like, why is he doing this to me? But he did that to me after the 8th grade, after I graduated from the 8th grade. So between 8th grade and the start of 9th grade. So by me having the repetitive motion with that wheelbarrow, he building up my muscles.
Right.
So 9th grade, I get to high school, first day of high school, by some strange coincidence, my advisor was the varsity football coach. And when I got there, he called my name, put my hand up. He's like, I'll see you in the gym at 3 o'clock. For what? Oh, you playing football for me this year? And I'm like, huh? I didn't say I was playing. You're playing football for me. And I'm like, I didn't realize how much bigger than the other kids I was until I started looking around at all these other freshmen. And I'm like a man child around us, Like, wow, that was all that cruel and unusual punishment that my father put on me, built my body and my muscles, But, like I said, he was my idol because, he was the person that I sought to be like. Instead of looking out for an athlete to pattern my life after, I patterned my life after my father because he was just that. He was a father, in every sense of the word. He was a provider. Right, he was a provider. He was a defender. He didn't care if you were 8 or 8. If you touched one of his children, he was looking at ass. Point blank. And he taught me how to be a man. He made me the man that I am today. I had him in the house until I was grown.
So his influence on how he raised you, how has that enabled you to raise your kids?
Gave me the perfect pattern to model, model myself as a father. Because all the things that I said I wouldn't do to my children when I was old enough to have children, those are all the things that I do today. But especially with the boys, you have to be firm with the boys, give them no breaks, because my father said no breaks. And I haven't even given them all that. He's an honorable student. He made all honors in the first grade, all honors in the second grade. And now I'm doing the same in the third. So I don't give him any breaks when it comes to his education. And I'm rearing him to be a well-rounded young man and a productive part of society. Like he won't be one of these thugs out here knocking old ladies over the head trying to steal their coach. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna find you a little honest hustler, newspaper route, going to the market, packing bags, or whatever you got to do to make $100. Not that you have to,
Right.
but that you're gonna find something to do with your time and make some money. Do something creative with your time.
Okay, gotcha. Now, Melissa, you talking to you, understand your father is in your life, all in your life, growing up, and he's still in your life. So, what type of dad was he to you? How has he influenced your life to make you want to be the person you are today?
Well, I mean, he definitely influenced me. Obviously, grew up with him. But, I mean, he was definitely the disciplinarian. Was more loving my dad. Always put his foot down. So, I don't know. Him being strict, I feel like that really helped me. Just in a lot of ways. Like we had to work for what we got and stuff like that. So, a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, so you probably have still have a good relationship. What about you, Hope?
Well, my dad will always be grateful to him. And I always think of the song Never Would Have Made It, Marvin Sapp song. When I think of that song, I think of my dad. He was a man that came into a relationship where there were 3 kids, and I have never known anyone other than him to be my dad. He treated us just like he treated my little brother, so he is and always will be my dad. I had a sperm donor who I know, but there's never been a relationship with, and I'm so thankful for my dad because until he got sick, he was my dad, and I can always count on him. I know if I needed him, he would always be there, and he molded myself and my brothers. I have 5 brothers. Nobody should be subjected to that, but it's my reality. So shout out there all dads, Tony, Greg, Jimmy, Stacy, and Daryl. So my dad was a real positive influence, and I remember when we were growing up, my dad drove the school bus. He worked for the Philadelphia public school system, driving the school bus. So we knew that we couldn't do just about anything we wanted to do, because if we did, James Murray was showing up, and show up often he did. Luckily, I was the model child, so I didn't have to get in trouble like my brothers. But to this day, he's been gone now about 5 years, and I miss him dearly because he was a hands-on dad.
So this is my sister, so I have to talk to her like she's a Catholic. You say you had a sperm donor. What was your relationship like to God who actually was responsible for you?
There is no relationship at all. I've seen him, the closest contact, well, I've had a few instances, but my closest contact was a few years back where his mother passed away, and I was more or less forced to go to her funeral. And at that funeral, my brother Greg had to actually introduce my dad to me, which was the craziest thing. But there was nothing he could say to me, I think he had a feeling on where I stood with him, so he knew he couldn't come at me with any craziness, and he stayed away from me. I then had an opportunity one day because my aunt, his sister, Aunt Bev, used to live with him, and we were at the house, and he was upstairs in his bedroom. He knew we were coming, but he chose not to come down, so I went up to his room, knocked on the door, and asked him if he had an issue. He didn't have much to say, so we left it there, but no relationship whatsoever.
How does that make you feel?
Well, you know what? At some point growing up, I used to feel some type of way about it, but the reality is, I appreciate him being who he is and doing what he did, because had he not been the idiot that he was, I would have never had the great dad that I was able to have.
And Kiara, you haven't had your dad per se physically in your life, where you can touch him, do everything thanks to him because of his situation. But what do you think of him as a father?
He's a great dad. I mean, I love my dad to death. He does a lot for me behind bars. And
we talk a lot. It might not be as much as a lot of other people do with their fathers, but my dad's a great dude.
So how does it feel that, unfortunately, Kiera was born, I'm sorry, Tony, I know that was your job, but Kiera was actually born 2-3 days after Jimmy was arrested, so she has never gotten to have one-on-one time outside of the bars with him.
I have to get my sister's trying to take my job and take over.
I mean, I get emotional sometimes. I mean, I would like to do things that I see other people do, like my girlfriends with their father and spend time with them, but I mean, my situation is different. It makes me upset though.
It's understandable. As my sister was saying, my dad wasn't in my life. He had a relationship. I know he was around for maybe, so I was like 7 or 8. And then after that, he chose to fade. Why, I don't know. It was his decision. So he had no influence in my life whatsoever. The gentleman who, as my sister said, shaped us was Mr. James. Has the honor. We call him dad because he was there for us to help make us be the persons that we are today. So I give him all that credit. If he didn't have to do what he did, but he stepped into the situation and he did. Now I knew growing up, we didn't always see eye to eye. I used to think this guy is like mean or being too rough. But after I moved out of the house and started my own family, one day I was thinking about the situation, thinking about him and how he was with us when he raised us, and it just clicked. Like it's just something just clicked, and I understood why he did the things that he did, why he was the way he was. And I actually got to sit down and have a conversation with him, and actually thank him for the job that he did with us, and was actually able for the first time in my life ever to say to another man, I actually love him. And doing that, it has enabled me to go out and say to other men that are in my life, I actually love him. Because before I would have never, not something I would ever say to him. You know what I mean? But I was able to say that to him, and I'm able to say that to friends that are in my life now. Like I can say that to our producer Mark. I can say it to the cameraman, Khalil. We know
These apples.
I can say it to these guys and it, be affectionate with it and not have it be like taboo, like a gayish type thing. You know what I mean? Seriously, because that's how you grew up. Like other men, you don't tell them that you love them. But when it clicked and I was able to say that to him, that unlocked things in me that I'm able to say that to other men, and they know and they understand where I'm coming from. Like, yo, I got much love for you, or I love you. Like, I love these guys like they're brothers because we all grew up together. So, having that positive role model, male influence in your life actually helps you with how you are, how you see things, how you go about things. It changes things and it makes things totally different. And I think that's why a lot of our youth males are lost today, because a lot of them don't have that positive role model in their life. And I think that's why most of them are lost.
Right. I agree with that.
I would love to hear what our producer, Mr. Nelson, has to say about that, because I know growing up, he's had one of those things. First of all, he has the 2 dads, and also he is Mr. Mom. Growing up, he raised his son from a baby, who's now 22. So I would love, 23, wow. I would love to hear his take on that after the commercial.
Yeah, we'll be right, again, taking my job. We'll be right back after the commercial.
Conversation.
Sador photography company that offers modeling, weddings, family portraits, and much more. Indoors, outdoors, in the studio, or we'll come out to you. Just give us a call.
And we're back from commercial. Miss Melissa here has been cracking jokes. I asked Melissa here in the eye, and she said my eyeballs. She's trying to take this dark shell job. So we have our producer in the set with us now, Mr. Mark Nelson, since he was challenged by my sister to come and explain his role as a father.
Right.
So take it away.
I love being behind the scenes, but I was brought into a situation, look, because of when I was 20, 19, 20, somewhere around that, I raised my son and I seen that he was in a situation where it was a lot of drug activity and where he was going to be raised at, I didn't agree with it. So with the support of family and friends, I took on the challenge to raise my son, Mark Jr., when he was 2 weeks old, and he's now 23 as of this year. And it was more so because I didn't know my father till I was 24, but I was raised by, of course, since we sending shout outs, Kenny Nelson, since I was a baby. All shouts out to my dad, Kenny Nelson, which is also a partner in the company. So that shows you what type of dad he is, because he also produced the music with my brothers, and I call and talk to him about everything, and I just know him as my dad. I took that challenge on because I didn't want to be like my biological father, who I didn't know, and I always wanted to know all my children, which, let's see how I can say this and get deep into it. Right now I'm fighting to build a relationship with a son that I wasn't around, Joshua, but the rest of my children is in my life. So I just feel as though that a father is a foundation, not to get spiritual as far as spiritual about it, but a man is more so the foundation of a family. And when a man is missing, a woman can do the job, but there's nothing like having that strength, that man around to be able to support, to be able to raise a young man to be a strong man. And it goes on and on. Like Maurice said, you know, his dad was the strength of him and what type of man he is today. So that's why I wanted to make sure that, of course, it was my first child, and I just wanted to make sure that he be the strong man that I try to be, thanks to Kenny Nelson. And family and friends. I mean, they say it take a village to take care of children, but if it was a village of women, you would have a lot of traits that a man can't give, but you would be missing the traits of a man, because only a man can really raise a man fully, just like only a woman can raise a daughter fully.
And you bring that's a good point. You go visit again by these geese. What were you getting ready to say, Hope?
What I was going to say is one thing I like about Mark and Tony, and I'm not really sure about Maurice, is that with their girls, they've taught their daughters how to be princesses. And especially with Kiara, Jimmy calls her his princess. So you teach your daughters what to expect in a man. And you don't just take anything. That was one of the things, you know, my dad and I had a conversation one time about my friends, you know, and he told me what to look out for my male friends, because everybody can be your friend, but they have different motives, you know, and it's good when you have a dad to show you what to expect and what not to tolerate in a man.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, my take on Father's Day is, unfortunately, it doesn't get as much due credit as Mother's Day. It's more downplayed. We don't have a song that somebody needs to do something about that.
Well, you know what? Not to cut you off, I had this conversation with my coworkers this week, and they was laughing and joking, but they came up with one song that I guess they're tagging us to, and that's Luther song, Dance With My Father. So, but that's not, it's a good song, but it ain't our song.
But there is another one. Cheryl Pepsi Riley said, "Thanks for my child."
No, that was his
I mean, we gave you
Stones.
We gave you props, though.
They just give us anything.
Yeah, we officially do not have a song, you know, and unfortunately, even though tomorrow is Father's Day, not everyone can celebrate this day because there are a lot of deadbeat dads out there, a lot of gentlemen who just absolutely refuse to step up to the plate and take care of their kids, which I really don't understand, and it's something that pisses me off. We should have talked about this on the Angel Show. Why you don't step up and take care of your kids? You know they're yours. You know, why somebody got to drag your sorry behind into family court to try to get something from you? Why are you running? Why are you ducking and dodging? I don't understand it. Anybody have a comment about this? Because it really ticks me off.
Well, I just want people to stop, I should say, stereotyping all men and treating all of us the same. Because all men aren't deadbeat dads. All men don't agree with some of the other things that men do as far as not taking care of their children. Like, if you notice, he said it should be on the Anger Show because it do piss us off when we see men with Jordans and men with these Bentleys and cars, but their kids look like bums and not taking care of the kids. Or the mother is always at the baseball game. Shout out to all y'all mothers, even though it's a Father's Day. And some of y'all mothers also step out as men. Y'all do not men jobs, but as men positions to be at these games and to do different things that their young children, as far as men, are doing. You have to be involved with these younger men because they want that support. And when they don't see that support from their father, then you get men that's mad because they go to, which was brought up in another show, which was, that the men and the girls go to their mother, but if you're not in that child's life and being active in that child's life as a father, what do you expect? You know what I mean? And
you got the streets raising
The game.
a young man or a gang raising a son. So now that's the mentality that they have. They don't know how to demonstrate a soft side. They don't know how to demonstrate a loving side because they're not taught that. They're taught everything that is hard in the streets. So they don't know how to love and protect their woman. They don't know how to love and protect their kids if they have any. You know, they think it's all a game. We'll just go out here and get this one pregnant, that one pregnant. And so now we have a society of kids that don't know their father, who don't have a father in their life to show them how to be a man or how to show that young lady how to be treated by a man. And so society's kids are falling short because some fathers aren't stepping up to the plate.
Yeah.
You know, I recently went to a funeral of a close family friend of ours, and at the funeral, one of the man's stepchildren got up and said she wanted to thank the man's biological children for allowing him to come in and help her mother raise 8 kids. Now, this pissed me off because the 2 kids that he left grew up in the project. The boy didn't have the father. You know, the girl didn't have her father to teach her different things, but he had to learn how to be a man on his own. While you over there raising somebody else's 8 kids and you left your 2. I just can't imagine how in the world you're living high in Mount Airy and they're living in the project. And they have to be subjected to things that they shouldn't have to go through because you're somebody else being somebody else's savior. That is crazy to me. But I want to give a shout out to Robert Cartwell. He has no biological kids, but he is one of the greatest men that I know, and he had to learn how to do it on his own.
And most men, unfortunately, do have to learn that on their own. And unfortunately, which it's no excuse, it's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. Most of the time, men exit that child's life because of whatever they're going through with that particular woman or these kids. It's not an excuse. It shouldn't be used, but it's what they throw around. You fathered that child, so you need to be present in that child's life to give that child the guidance and instruction that they need, regardless of what's going on with you and that mother. You still need to be ever present in that child's life. Lock that mother out. Hey, I'm coming by to get mine. I'm coming by to spend some time with mine. Whatever. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be about what's going on with you and that woman. It should be about you and that child. Have a relationship with that child, because you are the one who's responsible for bringing them.
And to be on the other side of which Tony is saying, and I'm talking from experience. One thing that I can say, you know, Tone said that he was going to keep it 100 with y'all with this show. He's going to be straight up. And because I'm in front of the camera and I'm not used to being in front of the camera, but I'm going to tell a little story about, as far as with my situation, with my son, that it hurts me every day, every single day, that I can't get to my son because of a situation like what he just said. The mother ended up disappearing, and because I didn't do what she wanted me to do, it was like you took like 12 years of my son life out my life. And it bothers me, you know. I think they think that I'm like all right with it, which I'm not, because it's more so, you can look at my history. All my children are active in my life. I talk to them at least once a week. I do everything that a father's supposed to, but my son is falling short from seeing that the type of dad that he has because of being taken out my life for so long. And it's not fair to the fathers out there that really want to do right by their children, but you're dealing with a woman or a court system that don't support the fathers that want to be a father.
Exactly.
You know, and it's this court system need to be revamped.
Yes.
Because every man is not rich. Every woman, you know, is not trying to spend their money on pocketbooks and everything. It's a stereotype, which is a show coming. That's a plug. Next show coming soon. And it's more so you gotta really like understand and look at the history of a father to be able to judge that man. Don't judge that man by what a woman say. Judge that man by his actions, not by what other people say about him. If that man is out there taking care of his business and working hard, and you're working hard, and you have more money than that individual, don't expect that man to basically spend all his money to that. Say if he got 2 or 3 baby moms, he's trying his hardest, then give that man that credit. Don't knock him because he don't do what you want him to do.
And unfortunately, that's the way that system is, and you're absolutely correct. The court system needs to be revamped because each individual case is different. You know what I mean? I had a situation where one of the mother of my child went down there and lied and said, I never took care of my child since day one. And I'm looking at her like, how can you say I never took care of my child from day one when we were married? You weren't working, so I had to have been supporting my child. But she went down there and lied, and the court system sided with her. But that's the way that court system is. You're a bunch of crooks. You need to change the whole damn system.
Anger.
I'm really sick of y'all. You know what I mean? And a lot of men get injustice done to them when they come down there because you automatically side with the woman, which is absolutely wrong.
Right.
You need to be, yes, I'm very angry about it. It's a hot topic. One we gonna bring up. I might go down into the court system and blow it up. You know what I mean? With the cameras, I mean, just come down there, interview a couple people, blow it up.
And make sure you explain. He's talking about blowing up for his media.
Knocking on my door as far as media. We need to come down there and blow y'all up. You know what I mean?
Putting y'all out.
This is not a demonstrate. I don't know what's going on over there.
Set about it. You do injustice to positive men who want to be in their child's life. Woman comes down there and lie because they want more money for themselves. You know what I'm saying? And you just automatically side with them, and the guy doesn't have a chance. It's wrong.
And you know what? Let me bring a topic up that we put out on Facebook. I don't know if y'all joined our Facebook group yet, but you should join it because we talk about different topics every day. This was a topic that was brought up about should child support be monitored. Like say if I'm paying child support and the woman is buying Gucci pocketbooks and everything and my child got some cheap sneaks on. So they're saying that should child support be monitored as far as, you know, they say they want more money and where's that money going? You know, I mean, there's a lot of fathers out here that's like struggling and they do what they can. And you got some fathers out here on the other hand that be on Facebook with stacks of cash talking about they getting money, but then they saying they can't pay child support. Idiots. So my whole thing is, I don't know if the men need to sit and march, go downtown like he said, and more so put the court system out there that it needs to be redone. And we got to stop accepting different things that's being done to us as fathers, as far as accepting, all right, they take us to court, they take more of our money, but then they give it to the point that we can't live our life,
Exactly.
you know, as far as the children that live with us, or, you know, our bills and everything can't be paid. And then another thing that I see, now you got me on the anger. You got me up here being angry. Another thing, court system. I don't know if y'all think about how y'all take us fathers that don't pay child support and lock us up.
Makes no
Do
sense.
that give y'all money or not? No.
But you
Y'all
can't make
take,
that while you
y'all
locked up.
suspend our license, our driver's license. We can't get to where we need to get to make money. Y'all need to really, really revamp this court system as far as coming at us and the mothers too, because I know some mothers that pay child support. But since it's a Father's Day show, we hitting fathers. Y'all really need to look at this court system and redo it. If y'all need some of the fathers to come down there to give an input, then I'm sure some of us don't mind coming down there to more so hit some of these things that don't make sense. I mean, really.
It doesn't make sense at all.
I think Tony would hurt me to hurt.
Off this court system, and we're going to do that by going to a commercial break. See you on the flip side.
Open conversation. Conversation.
And we're back from commercial break. Miss Kiera had to leave to take care of the baby, and so we're going to continue on with discussing the fathers. Reese, you was over there talking to my sister about the situation. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, since you put me under the microscope, I'll go ahead and elaborate on a couple of situations. I have a 16-year-old son, Maurice Dees II, that I've been estranged from for over a decade because his mother and I are like hot oil and cold water. We just don't mix. Like, it was to the point where we were about to get physical with each other on more than one occasion. And I had to take myself out of the equation altogether just so that I didn't get incarcerated behind the fact that I put my hands on him. So I chose to just go through the court, pay my child support, and when he turned 18, I'll explain the situation to him. And you know, if he chooses to hate me for the rest of his life, then I have to live with that. Hopefully it won't be that, but you know, I mean, I figured that would be the best situation for everybody involved.
And
Whether that was a cop-out, I'm not sure, but
I
I
don't
just
think
took it
there's a
as the
cop-out.
best case scenario so that he didn't see his mother and I, you know, fighting and being violent towards each other in front of him.
But how do you think that's? You said when he turns 18, you're gonna sit down and try to explain the situation to him. How do you think he's gonna take that? Do you think he's gonna be receptive?
I really don't know if he'll be receptive to it or not, because even though he knows who I am, because I was around him until he was about 5, so he knows who I am. He hasn't seen me in a while, but he still knew who I am because I had that much time with him and in formative years, you know. So he knows who I am. If he sees me today, he'll know that's my dad, you know, and he'll address me as dad. He'll be nothing else but dad. But, you know, it was just in my opinion, it was the best thing for me to do is just not walk away from him, but
Walk
just
away from the situation with
Right,
his mother.
right.
Now, do you think he's gonna be angry with you?
If he's angry with me, I feel as though, you know, he has every right to be, because I wasn't there. He was raised by another man. You hopefully his mother made a good decision in the man that she chose to marry and to raise him. I don't know because I don't know the guy. I don't have anything bad to say about him because I've never met him.
But the flip side of that is he could be angry with his mother because she's not giving him the opportunity to form his own opinion. And unfortunately that happens a lot when women get upset with their father for whatever the reason is and they keep their children from him. But I can't teach my son how to be a man, and his traits and what shapes and molds him is what comes from his father. So the other man can do a good job, but he's missing a piece to him and he's always going to have that missing link, and for him to know that his father was willing, able, and ready to be a part of that, I think his mom is going to have some issues that she got to deal with.
But that's if he knows that. But what if she's spinning the web and trying to put blame on Maurice and deception and all those things?
Everything come to light after a while. Everything done in the dark will come to light. So he's paid his child support. It's always been on time and there. So she's gotten that money. Has she told him where this money come from that you're doing? Probably not. She's probably making him think that she's doing everything. That's a problem in itself. But even though he couldn't be there, had he done anything else, then that would have been negative, for her to say, well, he abused me. He didn't do that. He didn't go that route. He did what he had to do to maintain sanity, and respectability in the eyes of his son. That's what I think.
Yeah, but that's what you think. But we don't know because we're not in the mind of his son. We're not there on a daily basis. We don't know what she's saying to him, what she's putting in his ear. So I think it's going to be a challenge.
Right. I mean, I'm quite sure. There's been some conversations where my character has been assassinated, and
Exactly,
your dad ain't shit because he ain't never around and or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's why I said I was gonna wait till 18th so I could sit down and have a man-to-man conversation with my son and put everything on the table. Now I'm not gonna try to paint the picture like I'm a saint in the situation because there was a lot more that I could have done to have been there, but at the same time, I know we wouldn't have had the peace.
Right.
So I chose to just remove myself from the situation and come back to it in time and explain myself. And if he chooses to hate me for the rest of his life, like I said, that's just something that I would have to try to work on with him. And I wouldn't just accept the fact that he said, well, Dad, I hate you, or Maurice, I hate you, I never want to speak to you again. I mean, I would have to come back to it again and this wasn't all my film, it wasn't all my fault because I didn't want you to see me and your mother exactly, and then you think that that's the way that a man is supposed to treat a woman, and then you take that a step further, and then you have children, you have sons, you do the same thing in front of them, and then it's going on another generation.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice. Definitely made the right choice.
Right.
And again, it takes real men who want to step up and take care of their kids. We had producer Mark Moran say how he stepped up to the plate and producer was a great father to his son. Maurice to the kids that he had. Myself, I try to be a good father to my kids. But there's also a couple of gentlemen that I know were outstanding fathers. We had one gentleman in our neighborhood who was a father of 8 or 9 and 8. And he was also father to the kids on our block and in our neighborhood. Mr. Winston Hood, gotta give a shout out to him. He's not with us anymore, but he was an outstanding gentleman. And anyone would tell you that about him. Again, our dad, James Murray, my father-in-law was one of the best father-in-laws I ever had. James McGibson. My Uncle Sutton, who was taken away from us very early. My Uncle Tommy, who's always been there for us. So these are just men that I've been around who I know are outstanding fathers. My brother Greg, my brother Jimmy, as Kiara said, brother Mike, just men who I know step up to the plate day in and day out and take care of their kids. I mean, it's a lot of people out there that we can name, but this is what Father's Day is for. And if you have someone, stepdad, your real father, who's been in your life and has done things for you and has shaped you and molded you, tomorrow you really need to show him some love. You really need to reach out and say, Happy Father's Day. And even though she won't speak up and say it, Melissa's father, I'm sure Mr. Lynch, last name, right, has been an outstanding dad. You know what I mean? She won't say it, but I'll say it for you. You know what I mean? So,
And while we, not to cut you off, but while we dropping names, I'd like to thank my father, even though I know he's in heaven listening, looking down on me. I'd like to thank my father, Johnny McDonald Sr., for raising me and being the man that I am. And I'd also like to thank a fellow by the name of James Russell, who, when my sister passed away, he and my mother took her 3 youngest children and raised them, and they're all 18 and older now. You know, but for the last 15 years, they raised her 3 youngest children. You know, so since they can't be here to thank them, I'm gonna thank him for them. Mr. James Russell Sr., I'd like to thank you for stepping in and being a father to my nieces and my nephew when their father and their mother passed away. You know, so I'd like to thank you. And then growing up, there was a couple of civil rights advocates that I like to thank that had a part in, you know, raising me when I was out there on the streets, keeping me straight while I wasn't in the house or up under my parents. Mr. Sonny Martin, who was my football coach, my baseball coach, basketball coach, and just all around dad when my dad was not around. And then Mr. Herman Rice. Anybody from the Mantua section know Mr. Sonny Martin and Mr. Herman Rice. So, you know, I don't think either one of them is still here right now, but I'd like to thank them for having an integral part in my upbringing.
and while on that note, one other person was Martin Waterbury, Kenny Nelson. Is an outstanding gentleman. If you ever get to meet him, you'll be like,
Always
wow.
dropping knowledge.
Wow. So, you know, like this show has been about
And let's not
Father's
forget
Day.
James Skinner.
Has he been a good friend?
James Skinner, yes. Our children were born not a few days apart. So we have kids that are both 27 that just turned 27. Yes, he do his thing.
He do?
No, not at all, not at all, not at all. I'm still 35.
Our co-host is not here, Mr. Marvin Lane, who is also an outstanding father as well. I don't know where the hell you at today, but shout out to you, you know. Yeah, and I was just joking about Janice Porter. He's a good friend, and I'm sure he's been an upstanding guy and a great father, you know, from what I've seen. And I have been around him too. His brother Anthony Skinner as well.
Yes, he could give some lessons to some others.
Yeah.
But
So, you know, just shout out to a couple of men who I know are doing their thing. I wish I could name more, but then you would have to be doing what you're supposed to be doing.
well,
So,
I got a couple. Can I?
like who?
Bishop R.T. Jones Sr. He
And
was
so
our
yeah.
dad. Come on now, growing up, anybody from Christian Tabernacle, Bishop R.T. Jones Sr., he was the man. When he passed, it was a sad, sad day. Everybody lost a lot. His son, Bishop R.T. Jones Jr., and Darrell Cooper, shout out. He had a choir where he had 75 little boys from the age of 2 up to the age of 13 that he helped to mold their lives. And to this day, those kids reach back and remember what he did for them. So just a few shout outs.
So if you're not an upstanding dad, you need to get on point. You really need to be active in your child's life. Donating sperm does not make you a father.
At all.
You need to do the job. You need to be there every day, day in and day out. You need to be concerned about what's going on with them. Talk to them. It's not always about the dollars and cents. Talking to them, calling
But bringing
them,
back
what's
will help.
going on means a lot more than that little child support check you make you send. So you need to get on point and you need to take care of your kids. That's just my opinion.
There's one more last shout out that I'd like to give to Mr. Willie Ellison. It's a guy that I just came in contact with